move on and talk about an important update from Sebi's high-level panel, which was constituted to review the revamping of conflict of interest disclosure norms. Now that the panel has submitted report and there are recommendations which has been made, but one important point has been made as an observation was that disclosure norms are currently inadequate and conflict of interest disclosure norm needs strengthening. A few of the recommendations which has been made include that full disclosure should be there by the Sebi chairman as well as WTMs, and there are several options which has been given even though the person is joining as a WTM or Sebi for liquidating the assets as well. But one thing caught my attention was the inclusion of Sebi WTM as well as the chairman as an insider as per norms. To discuss these norms which has been suggested by the panel, we have with us Sandeep Parekh. Sandeep, welcome. How do you see the inclusion of Sebi chairman as well as WTM as insider as per norms?
I think it's a very important addition, very important because you are setting the same standard for yourself as you're setting for the industry. And you have to remember that, of all institutions in India, I think SEBI has access to the most qualitative and quantitative price sensitive information, right? So they have information from all the companies in India. And therefore, not having any standards at all was quite an aberration. And I think this report suggests correctly that the standard should be similar, if not the same, as they are for people in the industry who have access to such information.
Right, and as I was mentioning, there are various recommendations which also includes one of the 4 options of the current holding safe upon joining. Somebody has liquidate investment, freeze investment, sell under a pre-approved trading plan, or sell without a plan but with prior approval. How do you see this may be becoming a law?
I hope it does become, because again, like I said, it's very important to have high standards for the regulator. And till now we've had no standards, so it was kind of more to do with individual kind of sense of duty, which is certainly not adequate for an institution which has such, which is sitting on so much of price sensitive information. So I think it's very important that both conflicts, disclosures, and insider trading norms be introduced at the same level as they are for the industry. And so I would certainly support the use of this committee.
So Sandeep, what has caught your attention among the various recommendations which has been done by the panel?
No, so I think the key one is, of course, insider trading. I think there are other things with respect to conflict of interest, gift policy, etc. I think those are relatively minor. But again, they set a much higher standard compared to, kind of self-determined standard which we had till now. So I think it's a very, very significant recommendation, and I hope that it's implemented as recommended.
Right, and in the context, this committee was constituted after the various allegations which were there against a former chairperson of Sebi. Do you think in days to come, how could this formalize? What is the procedure for that?
So I think this will probably have to go to the government of India, and it will come by way of rules, is my guess. It can also be by way of internal regulations of SEBI, but I think as a statutory body, it will be more appropriate that this is sent to the ministry to be formed as rules which are implemented for governance in SEBI, and hopefully in other regulators as well as time goes by.
Right, as you rightly mentioned, there may be government intervention which might be required if at all there is an amendment is the Sebi Act. But more importantly, how do you see Sebi in the light of, first of all, releasing these recommendations? And now, what is the next logical step? Do you think that it will be considered in the board first and then taken forward?
Yes, I think this is too important not to go to the SEBI board. So most likely it will go to the board, and then probably it will be forwarded to the Government of India, Ministry of Finance, which will then kind of bring it back as rules, the conduct rules for members. In fact, it goes not just for the full-time members of SEBI, but also goes two levels below. So it's a CGM and EDs will also be covered by should be ideally be covered by this policy. So I think it's a pretty significant policy or a draft policy at least.
All right, Mr. Parekh, we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much